we go.
Okay, yes, there we go. We did it. Okay. Hi, everyone. I call the July 21st, 2026 regular board meeting of Glencoe Park District to order. Lisa, please call the roll and state the time.
Great. It's 7 p.m. Commissioner Covey's on the phone right now. We'll have to do approval to have him join the meeting. Commissioner Reifman?
She will
is
be
on her
she got
way,
way.
but 7:15, 7:30. She got
Yeah.
truck
Yeah.
and traffic, so she'll be arriving later. Commissioner Hazen?
Yes, here.
Commissioner Guzman?
Here.
Commissioner Cummins. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just mixed two names together. That was original.
one.
I like how I
I'm
said that
here.
one. Okay.
Great. I entertain a motion to approve Michael Covey to attend the meeting via phone conference.
Second, or so moved.
So moved. Okay.
Second.
Perfect. Any discussions?
You can say all in favor?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
you.
Moving on to our agenda items. Does any commissioner want any items pulled from the consent agenda items?
No.
Okay, then I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
A second.
Wonderful. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Moving on at this time, any matters from the public, it is our practice not to address questions at this time. However, we will take comments under advisement. Is there anyone who would like to make a verbal comment? If so, please limit it to 3 minutes per person. Okay,
Anybody want to make any comments in the audience?
okay, no comments. Okay, wonderful. All right, next topic is the audit presentation. So Jamie Wilkie from Lauterbach and Ammon joins us tonight to provide a presentation of the 2026 audit.
Excellent. You can just go step up there.
Thank you.
Make sure this is turned on.
Is that okay? Thank you. I don't want to press any buttons.
You're like me.
All right. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Jamie Wilkie. I am the audit partner on the Park District's annual audit. So here this evening to present the final audit results for your February 2026 fiscal year end. I did want to point out we're a little behind our normal schedule here, and we can thank IMRF for that. So just to say that out loud, I was saying the parking lot was really full because I'm usually here in June and baseball's not going on. So I certainly want to start by thanking the Park District staff, in particular the finance department. I know both John and Brian is sitting in the audience, really do an outstanding job preparing for the audit. As with past years when I've been here to present, I'm happy to report we had no material audit adjustments that were detected. So kudos to the team.
Yes.
Just to point out that is not the norm. So we typically walk in, we typically do have for most of our park districts at least a handful of adjusting journal entries. So again, just a testament to the cleanliness of their preparation. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Your packet is really long because of me, so I do apologize. The audit itself begins on page 109 of your agenda packet. As I go through, I will provide just a couple of page number references. Those page number references are the actual page numbers at the bottom of the audit document. So once you have a chance to kind of get back into the document, I know there's about 150 pages, I think, included. So as you have some time. John has included a few documents this evening, the first of which is the management letter. So that is what starts on page 109 of the audit. That does provide each year our opportunity to communicate any best practices, housekeeping items, recommendations, as well as new Governmental Accounting Standards Board or GASB statement changes. The only two items we have reported this year are, in fact, two new standards that are coming next year. The first of which is GASB 103. That is going to focus on really a refresh to how your financial statements look. About 90% of that will be on us from the standpoint of reformatting your audit report. So some additional disclosures towards the back of the report related to budget schedules, some nuances of terminology on some income statements. GASB always likes to, create new terminology. And then the MD&A will get a refresh. So the management discussion and analysis, which we'll take a look at for this year in just a few minutes, that will have a refresh. We already have a template prepared for our clients, so we'll be working with John and Brian next year to implement GASB 103. Okay. Second standard is GASB 104, which focuses on capital assets. I'll be honest, not a lot of impact to our park districts. One of the primary focuses there is if you are holding capital assets for resale. So typically we see this on the municipal side within like a TIF district, for example. So I'm not aware of anything that you guys are acquiring with the intent to kind of immediately resell. So, but again, we'll go through the standard with both John and Brian as that comes next year. The next letter included in your packet is what we call the SAS 114 letter. SAS 114 letter is really standard communication each year to the board. That is where we have to highlight really what I would say any exceptions to the audit. So if we had disagreements with management, if Brian decided he didn't want to post any journal entries that we may have proposed, if there were significant changes in things like estimates, et cetera, that is where we would highlight that information for you all. Really, it is the standard language, meaning there were no exceptions to report to you all. So what I would deem kind of a clean SAS 114 letter. The last item then is the audit document itself. A couple of key sections I do want to point out on page 7 of that audit document, again, page number 7 towards the bottom. The district received what we call the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. That is an annual program that is overseen by the Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA. That reporting is really deemed the highest level financial reporting for any state or local government. So that is a national program. There is about an inch thick checklist you have to go through to make sure you meet the criteria. On page 7, you'll see a copy of the award for last year's audit. Certainly want to give kudos to the district for obtaining that. There is extra work and some statistical schedules at the back that help provide some transparency to meet the requirements of the program. Right after that, you will find the independent auditor's opinion. So current state statute in Illinois does require that if you're over a certain revenue threshold, you as a local government are required to undertake an independent audit. Really two goals with the audit each year. Number one, we want to ensure that we can issue what we call an unmodified or clean opinion. That tells users of your financial statements that they are materially correct. The second piece that you'll see discussed in the audit opinion is really not opining on internal controls, but discussion that we are required to take a look at the overall control environment each year. So as we do our detailed internal control testing, if there were exceptions, if there were red flags, if there were procedures that weren't being followed, for example, based on your internal policies, those would be things that we would have to highlight tonight based on that kind of specific internal control testing. Obviously, we went through the management letter, the SAS 114 letter. You guys did not have any internal control related findings. So truly the cleanest level opinion you can receive each year. Two more sections very quickly to point out. I know it's a lot to digest. Pages 14 through 20 of the audit report provide that management discussion and analysis section, or MD&A. This is the section that will get a refresh next year. But for this year, I do encourage you to read those 7 pages in detail. It really is kind of there to serve as the executive summary to the 130 pages in the document. We don't expect folks to go through every page in detail, so that is really high level What were the results for the year? How did those compare to last fiscal year? What were some of those major transactions and trends that we're seeing in the financial results? Obviously, for you guys, there's a lot of capital activity going on. We see pictures of it downstairs. You'll see that's kind of interwoven through the discussion even into last year. The bond issuance during the year coming in as far as cash proceeds and overall discussion about programming was really positive. So saw that uptick as well. So again, you'll see that all highlighted throughout those 7 pages. Lastly, I want to point out starting on page 101, the statistical section. So this is one of the kind of heavy lifts for the Certificate of Achievement Award. So the stats section provides 10-year trend information for the district. I always like to point it out to our boards because there is really a wealth of historical information at the back of that document. You can see financially how the district has performed over the last decade. You can also find information on things like property taxes, your long-term debt structure, operating indicators, things like number of full-time employees over the last 10 years. So really, again, a wealth of information. And as I said, most people don't get to page 101. So I always like to point that out. But certainly happy to pause there, open it up for any questions. I know it is a lot to digest, but certainly want to give board members the opportunity to ask any follow-up questions.
No, just for everyone's benefit, I've spent time with John going through the financial statements. I actually have read all of the
Okay.
pages. But then that's my background, so I'm so okay with
Yes.
that. But I did want to congratulate them because going through an audit without changes to journal entries is really rare, having gone through this process many times. I think that's a testament to the work that they're doing. I also think, thank you very much for doing this and, and for spending time with the team.
Yeah.
In a timely fashion and working with the team. I heard very positive things about the process itself.
Good.
So I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Yes.
But I think it's just a big congratulations overall.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the takeaway that I had. So thank you.
Yeah, I think we have staff fighting to be on this engagement. So you guys have a reputation in the office in a good way.
So what you mean?
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So no, I don't have any questions. It all made sense.
Yeah.
But happy to open it up and answer any questions or anything you guys want to discuss.
It's quite thorough. I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I would just like to say kudos to the team. We really do have one of the best financial teams in the state of Illinois and Park District. So we're very lucky to have 2 CPAs that work on this and that we work very, very hard on making sure all of our financials are very transparent. And that shows with the extra step of getting those awards. So kudos to both of you. Brian's right here in the audience, so thank you. And then John, so big round of applause to you.
Thank you. And again, I just want to make sure that Brian gets the credit here that he deserves. I mean, this is a year-long process. He goes through on a quarterly basis, updating fixed assets and just preparing for the audit so that, I think Lauterbach is, and they have a great team and they're here, I think 45 days after fiscal year end, which is a very quick turnaround, especially in the governmental realm.
Yeah.
And the only reason we're able to do that is because Brian's so on top of things throughout the year, as opposed to just kind of waiting for everything at the end of the year. So Brian does all the heavy lifting on it, does an outstanding job, and we're fortunate to have him.
He really does. He keeps us all in mind. So, which we appreciate. So thank you for that.
Okay. All right. If no questions, then thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming
Good to
out.
see you all.
Appreciate it.
See you as well. Okay. Next on our agenda is the financial report. John will present the quarterly projections and answer any questions. The report is available in our board packet.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Guzman. Good evening, everyone. So yeah, now that we get audit wrapped up, we really kind of dive into the budget. That's the next thing that we're going to spend a lot of time on. And part of that process is going through our quarterly projection exercise, which we have done so for the first quarter of fiscal year 27, believe it or not. So just a reminder that first quarter represents calendar months March 1 through May 31st. We typically, obviously, it's a very busy time for our rec team and our parks team. So we give them a little break here and let them get through June and the start up of camp, and then we're able to finalize and pin down these projections for this meeting. So again, thank you to those teams, rec and parks teams, for the hard work that they did in pulling these projections together during what is a very busy time for them. So just to recap, you've probably seen this graphic, you're pretty familiar with it, but I just like to remind the board of kind of where we stand in terms of the process, and just remind you all that the budget process has really evolved into a year-long process. It pretty much ends at mid-April when we adopt the budget and appropriation ordinance, and then cranks back up beginning of June or mid-May as we get into projections. And so we're right in step 2 here on this timeline, which will ultimately culminate in our adoption of the fiscal 27-28 budget that'll take place. We'll present that in the February committee meeting, approve the final budget at the March board meeting, and approve the budget and appropriation ordinance at the April board meeting. So a lot of numbers on this screen, so I won't get into each one. What I will preface this by saying is that we're only one quarter through our fiscal year, so not a lot of major changes to speak to. Most of them are coming in on the capital side of things. But what this slide represents on the left-hand side here, that's our original budget in terms of excess revenue over expenditures. And the right column on the right is the now projected excess revenue over expenditures. So I'd point you to right about in the middle of the page where we have our major operating funds. So that's the total of the corporate and recreation funds, our major operating funds. And we see that we had originally budgeted to have an excess revenue over expenditures of $2.2 million, $2.3 million, and we're right around 2.357 we're projecting out right now. So very minor shift, small percentage of shift there, which I can speak to on the next slide. But the majority of our difference, if you go down to the bottom, all the way to the bottom here, we see that we had originally budgeted for a deficiency in revenue over expenditures of about $8.2 million. And that number is now 7.1. So an improvement, you'd say, of about $1.1 million. And that's all pretty much capital related, which I'm going to get into again on the next slide here. So as far as that $75,000 difference between our two major operating funds, we had some shifts in program revenue. So I think we've talked about FSA as being one of the great specialty camps that we've brought into the fold here, and has been a great revenue generator for the district. So projections are a bit higher now on our bottom line here for FSA, as is the case with Game On. So two of the camp programs are really driving that at this point, now that we have pretty much final enrollments and the team knows where we're going to be on that. As far as the big difference, that approximate $1.1 million difference in capital projects. So we're anticipating spending less essentially this year. And that's a combination of a few things that I've kind of mapped out here on the bottom of the slide. So the two biggest items are all timing related. It has nothing to do with the actual project itself being under or over budget. It's strictly when the checks were cut and how it aligned with our fiscal year. So our maintenance center is actually going to be technically over budget for what we budgeted in fiscal year 27 to the tune of $430,000. And the beach project is going to be under budget by about $1.1 million because we now have a more clear picture as to what the timing of that work is going to be. And it's ultimately going to be a situation where it's going to shift in now into fiscal 28. So the net effect of that, combined with West Park, which Kyle did report on, we did receive a favorable bid on that. So we saved about $180,000 compared to what we were initially budgeting for. those three items really make up the bulk of the change in our projected excess revenue over expenditures for the upcoming fiscal 2028. So again, just mainly timing issues from a capital perspective. As we get into the second quarter here, and we'll present those at the October meeting, we'll have a better idea, in terms of operations and where we think things are going to land at the end of the fiscal year, as we will with capital, as we get into potentially some of the bids and everything, on some of these upcoming projects, specifically the beach.
Hey, John, just
Sure.
to be very clear on this. So where it says timing, it's not necessarily that it's over under for the whole project.
Correct. Yes. Thank you for clarifying and specifying that. So Kyle can speak to the numbers, and I think he's planning on once we close out the maintenance center. But the maintenance center is by no means over budget. It's actually the exact opposite. We're looking very good in the maintenance center, approximately $1 million under budget, I think, at this point. That's still kind of a fluid number. And as we close things out, Kyle is going to report on the final results when we're ready to have that conversation and everything is closed out. But the project itself is under budget. And we did speak to the potential on the beach a few meetings back where that might potentially be over. So kind of net effect is still in a good position when we look at the overall referendum proceeds.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? July is when we typically will do our master plan capital transfers. So just a reminder, this is money that essentially this is our excess revenue in the corporate and recreation funds, so our major operating funds. And we kind of determine what's needed to remain as fund balance in accordance with the fund balance policy, which, as a reminder for those major funds, is 50% of operating expenditures. And once we get to that point, we can determine how much we're able to transfer over to Fund 69, which ultimately funds future capital projects. So again, this is a major component of our overall capital funding strategy. It's this transfer, it's the bond proceeds that we receive, it's the grants that we solicit, it's the donations that we solicit. And lately, it's been the interest income that we've been earning on the fund balance that we have in the capital project funds. So once our audit is finalized, that's when we go ahead and make this transfer. Lastly here, I just wanted to give a quick update on our property tax levy. So as we're all aware, it's been somewhat of a saga here with Cook County and the conversion over to the new computer system and late property tax bills. I'm sure you guys have all noticed your property tax bills not being coming in at the same time they have in prior years. Unfortunately, that is going to be the case again this year. We did receive the first installment this year, which is essentially 55% of the prior year's tax bill. That's why they're prompt with this one. It's really not much to calculate. It's just taking 55% of last year. Now it's calculating the final rates and everything, and that's what delays that second installment. So we're hoping, to have similar timing as last year. We did get it, started to receive funds in December last year, so we're anticipating the same thing. Cook County sent out an email earlier this week for a bridge loan program that they're going to offer to taxing districts for districts that are going to experience, a major hardship with the delay of the funding. Fortunately, with our fund balance policy being at 50%, we will not have to even consider that program, nor would we be eligible, just given the reserves that we do have in place based on our fund balance policy. So that won't be an issue. So I think it's positive that we've at least collected about 50% of our budget this year, but again, a little frustration, I think, still down the road in terms of that second installment. And while we do have the reserves to weather that delay, we will be ultimately missing out on what could be potentially significant interest income, which is somewhat disappointing. And hopefully, in future levy years, this project gets closed out and we're back to the original schedule. So, any questions on property taxes? All right. That's all I have then in terms of projections for quarter one. So
Any questions?
any questions, comments? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
All right. Next up, we've got our intern research project and presentation. Daniel Ferris, our summer recreation intern, will present the initial findings from her research project.
So Danny Ferris is our recreation intern, as you've met at prior meetings. So when is your final day with your internship?
August 7th.
August 7th. So she's on the home stretch here and has done a wonderful job. So part of our CAPRA accreditation, we must have a student do a research project for the park district. So that she was tasked with that this summer. And Erica has been a big help, helping her, mentoring along this process. So thank you, Erica, too. So,
cool.
all right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, yes, thank you, Erica, so much for mentoring me throughout the whole thing. Truly appreciate it. I'm gonna be sharing the results of the research project that we took on these last couple of months. So I studied whether participation in Children's Circle is connected to greater long-term involvement within the park district. So the agenda that I have today, I'm going to begin with the background and purpose of the project. Then I'm going to explain how the groups were created, what information was studied, and then finally I'm going to discuss the findings, limitations, recommendations, as well as some next steps. So first off, the main question that we were asking was, does participating in Children's Circle lead to a greater park district involvement over time? So we wanted to see whether families who begin with the district at an early age continue using the programs and its services. So this included camps, enrichment programs, kids clubs, special events, as well as memberships. And if I'm talking too fast, just yell at me. Okay, so just some background so we're all kind of on the same page. Early childhood programs do require a significant investment in staff, space, and resources. So we wanted to better understand the long-term value these programs provide to both the families as well as the district. So childcare needs and early childhood education are constantly changing. So it's really important to continue evaluating these and see whether our services continue to meet the community's needs. So these findings help kind of guide those future decisions about our staffing, our programming, as well as our marketing and resources. So also this supports the CAPRA's emphasis on using this evidence to make decisions. Okay, so the methods that we used, we collected data from our registration software, which is RecTrack. We reviewed the activity registrations, past purchases, participant and household spending. The study used information beginning in June of 2023. We did not include 2020-22 because we were all kind of hiding and hoarding toilet paper at that time. So it did kind of mess up our behavioral patterns. So we skipped to 23 so we could have a little bit more accurate information. We had separate comparison groups, which were created for 23 and 24. So I hope this is making sense. All right, so for each year, we did create 2 groups of similar resident participants. So cohort 1 included children who graduated from the Beluga classroom at Children's Circle and then attended Kinder Corner. Cohort 2 included randomly selected Kinder Corner participants who had not attended Children's Circle. So we comparing similar children allowed us to look more closely at whether early participation may be connected to their future involvement. We then tracked the detailed participation history of every single child. So we examined several measures instead of just relying on one number. These included the registrations, past purchases, participant spending, and total household spending. So we looked at all of it. And then we also divided the registrations into different categories to see how the families were engaging with the district. And then finally, we reviewed participation by year to identify the retention and the changes over time. Is this making sense so far? Okay, perfect. That's good. Okay, so in summary, the initial results do in fact show that Children's Circle participants had a stronger long-term engagement with the district. So our hypothesis was correct, which was really nice. They averaged 61% more total registrations and generated 68% more participant spending. The largest differences appeared in our one-day programs, camps, and childcare related services. So this kind of suggests that Children's Circle may help create an earlier relationship that continues to follow the children as they grow. So these findings do show a strong connection, although more data is going to be needed before we can prove that Children's Circle directly cause the differences. It's pretty evident. Okay, so now we have some kind of like visuals here. So in the green is going to be our comparison cohort, and in the blue is going to be our Children's Circle cohort. So the graph is going to compare the average number of registrations per participant. In the 2023 groups, Children's Circle participants averaged 47 registrations compared with the 29 for the comparison group, which is pretty interesting. In the 2024 groups, the averages were 35 and 18. So Children's Circle participants registered more often in both years. So we removed duplicate and non-activity entries, so like the Kids Club bus and AM Care. So this was just like the activity registrations that they were involved in. Okay, so then we did it by program category. I like this graph because it's really interesting. Okay, so this slide shows where the participation differences did occur. The one-day programming was one of the strongest differences in both years. And then the Kids Club participation was also consistently higher with the Children's Circle. Enrichment's results were kind of more mixed, especially in the 23 group. As you can see, it's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, this kind of tells us that the Children's Circle families aren't necessarily participating in I need to remember to breathe. Okay. Are not necessarily participating more in every category, but they are participating more overall across a wide variety of services.
Good job. Do good.
Okay. So now the numbers. This is the really cool part. The 2023 Children's Circle group generated more participant and household spending. So on this graph, in the orange is the household. So we looked at each participant's household as a whole. So we're accounting for everything that household spent towards our district. And then in the blue is just that participant within the cohort. So the average participant was spending approximately 68% higher, and the average household spending was approximately 114% higher. So household spending is important because it includes other family members who may also participate in district programs. So we're getting to account for the family as a whole. So this suggests that the relationships may extend beyond the individual child and to the entire household. So also something that I would like to mention as we're looking at these numbers, 2023 had a 37-month spending period and 2024 had a 25-month spending period. So just keep that in mind as we're seeing the numbers. Okay, so this is the 24 average participant and household spending. So the same general pattern kind of follows within this graph as well. The Children's Circle participants spent approximately 109% more than the comparison participants, and their households spent approximately 144% more, which is a lot. So although this group has only been tracked for the 25 months, the differences are already very, very noticeable. And seeing similar results in both years kind of makes the initial findings more prevalent. Perfect. So I do like this. I think it kind of puts it into perspective. So in the comparison cohort, we had something we would call like a super user, where they weren't involved in the Children's Circle, but they still were very involved within the district and did spend a lot of money within the district. But even as you look, compared to the highest spender within both cohorts, the Children's Circle cohort still outspends. So Yeah, examining the range kind of helps us make sure that the results are not being explained entirely by one unusually active family. However, because the groups are small, individual participants can still have a large impact on these results. So, yeah, you can just kind of take it in for a second. Looks nice. Okay. So this kind of this table brings the main findings together. In both years, Children's Circle participants had more registrations and greater financial investment. The 2024 group showed especially large differences in the participant and household spending. The fact that the same general pattern appears in both groups suggests that the results are worth continuing to study, which I think we should continue studying it because it's actually really interesting. But at this point, the data demonstrates a really strong correlation. So yeah, Kids Club showed one of the clearest connections in the study. Among the 2023 Children's Circle group, every participant registered for Kids Club at least once, compared with the only 30% of the comparison group. In 2024 groups, the difference was 81% compared with the 18%. And when both years are combined, 91% of Children's Circle participants did use Kids Club, compared with the 24% in the comparison groups. So this kind of shows families who trust the district for preschool are more likely to continue using district child care services. All right, so this one, okay, I know I keep saying it's all interesting, but this was actually kind of interesting. So the pass purchases were the one area where the comparison group was way more active. So the Children's Circle participants purchased approximately 58% fewer passes in 23 and 53% fewer in 2024. So this is interesting because they still had more program registrations and higher overall spending. So these families may prefer structured programs like camps and child care services instead of season pass facilities. This could be an area we could look into a little more, maybe providing some discounts to people in Children's Circle. One thing that was pointed out is it kind of makes sense why these families might not. Their children are involved in a lot of programs where they're taken to those facilities. So they may not feel the need to purchase passes when their children already have access. So yeah. I do want to point out some of the limitations that we faced, just to keep in mind while we're interpreting the results. The cohort sizes were small, partly because we took out all the non-residents. So we just focused on the residents of Glencoe. We had the highly active super users, and they can have a noticeable effect on the averages. And the children have only been tracked for a relatively short amount of time, which is why I think it'd be interesting to keep doing this and see kind of how the retention evolves and what that does to the revenue. We also did not have access to income, household schedules, or other demographic information that could influence participation. So we're not really sure of the outside barriers or limitations that these households face as to why maybe they didn't participate or what that kind of looks like. So because of these limitations, the results should be viewed as the initial indication rather than the final conclusion. So some recommendations. Based on these findings, I think the district should continue investing in the early childhood programming. It's clear that it has an impact on these kids and what it does to their involvement in their later years. So we should create like intentional pathways that help families move from preschool into camp, into kids club, enrichments, and other programs. Personalized and coordinated communication could help families understand what opportunities are available next. The district could also explore ways to introduce Children's Circle families to the season passes. Like I was saying, maybe have a discount, maybe make it more prevalent or more well-known. And the most importantly, decisions should consider the lifetime relationship a participant and their household may develop with the district. So next steps, the project provides a really good starting point rather than like a final answer. I think this should be maybe more of an ongoing project. I'm really happy that I got to be one of the people to start it. The district should continue updating the cohort information each year. I think that could be really beneficial. We got a lot of information just based on Well, it's a little bit, but it felt like a lot, lots of Excel sheets. But it's very informative and really makes it more personable when you're really trying to figure out how these kids are interacting with the district. Yeah, also a participant survey could be really helpful. Just giving households a chance to explain the barriers that they're facing, whether it's exterior, maybe there's better childcare, and if there's better childcare, how can we be better than the better? If that makes sense. Um, So yeah, with additional years of the information and larger groups, the district will be able to make stronger conclusions. And overall, the initial findings suggest that early childhood programming may in fact play an important role in building long-term participation and customer loyalty. So yeah, okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Have any questions?
We can hear you.
I think we've only just scratched the surface. I think this kind of opened a really big door for us to really explore further how people are interacting with our programs, not just our childcare. Maybe they have a stay-at-home mom, so they don't need childcare, but they want to participate in other ways, and they are participating in other ways. So yeah, I would say this only scratched the surface. I think there's a lot more we can do with just this information, but go a lot deeper with it. Do you have any more you want to add? Send me the Excel sheets. I could do it.
Next year's. Jackie?
Yeah.
Well, first off, congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
It was a very good presentation. I had two questions. The first is, was there anything that surprised you as you were looking through this project? Anything that you went in with a certain thesis or a hypothesis and then all of a sudden it's not what you expected, that you did not get to present as part of this?
I think well, not me. I have not been with the district for very long, but there was a general hypothesis that people who were within Children's Circle were going to be higher in participation. And while that was proven true, there was several black sheep that we had within the comparison cohort that were very involved. And maybe they didn't do Children's Circle, but they were like one day programming out the wazoo, enrichments like crazy. Like it was insane. So that kind of took me by surprise how crazy involved they were, more than some of our children's circle cohort. So I would say that that kind of caught me off guard. But yeah.
I think one other part that I thought was interesting was there was a slide you had with a bar chart and it was breaking out enrichments and some other stuff. This one. I'm curious about this one because if I think of the assets, right, of the park district, like our goal is that we're going to leverage them, get a return on our investment, really be able to get as many people engaged as possible. What caught my attention was it with enrichment, like you sort of see it, but I'd be curious to see how it's shifting, if they're all gravitating to one like geographic area within the park district, if it's all concentrated in like multiple areas. Be curious to see how, maybe it's getting a little bit to what Michael's question is, how are they leveraging all of the facilities of the park district,
Yeah,
particularly our Glencoe residents?
no,
'Cause
I
it's-
agree.
They're, be curious to see how, like how often, like what that utilization would look like and what like the ROI on that would look like.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I'm not a data person or a numbers person,
Uh-huh.
but I found this really fascinating. So I really hope that this is just the starting point for this project and that, you guys carry on my legacy and this continues and you just get so much data from all of it. But yeah, I think it'd be really beneficial to see where the true areas of strength are and where people are gravitating towards, and what can be improved. So. Any other questions?
Right, no questions, but really great job.
Oh,
and
perfect.
Great presentation.
Thank you. I got an A in public
Congrats.
speaking.
Nice job. It's
Thank
very hard for
you.
a 20-year-old to come up in front of a board. So excellent job, Danny.
Thank you. Yes. All righty. Thank you very much. Some of our next agenda item is the presentation of the 2026 employee survey. John will provide a presentation of the survey.
Thank you again, Commissioner Guzman. So yeah, just wanted to spend some time here this evening to talk through the results of our 2026 annual employee survey. There is a memo in the board packet also, which really gets into the detail of each question. So hopefully you've all had an opportunity to kind of walk through that and certainly address any questions that you all might have this evening. So just a little background on the survey itself. It was sent out actually a little later this year. We sent it out in May rather than in March. Once again, we did utilize the services of Rexstar Consulting, who is an independent third-party firm that was done to kind of instill confidence and anonymity within the survey process. And overall, and before I get into that, I just want to say Grant Gilchrist, who's our human resources manager, I don't know if everybody's had the opportunity to meet with Grant, but he's spent a lot of time with Rexstar Consulting and kind of formulating the survey and everything. So kudos to Grant for doing a great job with the survey too. And again, Rexstar has been a great partner throughout the process with the employee survey. So overall, we did have 61 completed surveys, and response rates were pretty evenly split between full-time and part-time employees. The full-time employees that did respond was about 58% of our full-time staff. So we were pleased to see that the full-time staff did come out and come with a pretty good response rate. So overall, we feel that the response rate is statistically valid and pretty consistent with the response rate that we've had in prior years. Aaron does a great job helping us out, helping us get the information out, specifically via SMS and text messaging. That has really helped in getting response rates up. So we get it out via text message, via email, via the Friday update, and we also check in with managers throughout the process and just ask that they do personal follow-ups with their employees to get as many responses as possible. So a lot of effort went into making sure we get as many responses as we can. So overall, we are very pleased with the results of the survey. I think it overwhelmingly confirmed the fact that we have a very strong culture here at the district, and employee satisfaction is well above average. If you look at 14 of the 16 core survey items, we scored at least 85% favorable in those 14. The areas that were the strongest relate to job satisfaction, tools and resources to complete your job, safety, which is great to see, just a huge item there, and overall work experience. And we did identify that some areas that we're going to continue to build on were mainly around teamwork within departments and also district-wide communication, which we're going to speak to in a few slides. Slide here just kind of gives a little more of the detail that we'd like to highlight here. So these are some of the questions that did see some notable increases or were some of our highest scores. So again, tools and resources up 4 points from last year to 98%. Clean workplace up 9 points to 95%. Workplace safety up 3 points. That's 98% favorable for workplace safety, which is great. Benefits satisfaction is at 87%. That's an increase from 81% in the prior year. Compensation overall remained the same at 61%. And then overall work experience. So 95% of respondents have a favorable response as it relates to their overall work experience here at the district. Want to spotlight question 8. This is one that we really take a very close look at. And this deals with, pride in working for the district and also asking if our employees would recommend the district as an employer. We feel like this is a very important metric to kind of determine, where our employees truly stand on things. And 93% of respondents had a favorable response here as it relates to pride in working for the district. And that's off just 1% from last year where it was at 94%. So very, very happy to see that 93% for such a critical metric here. Our top 3 areas of strength, as I mentioned, tools and resources along with safety. So that's questions 5 and 7. A clean and positive work experience, questions 6 and 20. And then pride and supervisor support, I should say. So pride in working for Glencoe Park District, as I just mentioned, sits at 93%. Questions 12, 14, and 16 all remained at around 92% favorable range, which is very good. So the areas for continued focus that we'd like to look at are questions 11 and 15. So teamwork and cooperation within departments, that's 77% favorable. So still a very solid response there that we're seeing 77% favorable, but notable in that it wasn't above that 85% that we've kind of set as, what we'd like to see, along with communication across departments, which sits at 76%. So again, it's still a very strong result there. But again, the ones that were below that 85%. So these do, represent clear opportunities for us to help strengthen collaboration and communication across departments. So just some high level takeaways here. So, employee sentiment obviously remains very, very positive. The pride in working at the district, the kind of raving fans index there is at 93%. So, we have a very positive workplace. Our opportunities for more development here is around the teamwork and interdepartmental communication, which is something we're certainly going to be looking at. But the important thing there is it's not really, basic workplace conditions or really overall employee satisfaction, which we see is very high. So as we get into next steps with the survey, we did have an all-staff training last week, which is a great opportunity that we're able to get folks from all different departments together. Just given the challenge, the logistics that come along with trying to get every department and person in the district in the same room at the same time, we're only able to do that a couple times a year and still not really able to capture everybody. Nonetheless, we do as much as we can as it relates to that. And we did have a training last week where we did share the results. We'll certainly share it in the Friday update. We'll provide printed copies of the survey results in the break rooms here at TAKIF, back in the maintenance center. Managers are also going to be meeting with their teams and making sure that they discuss the survey and solicit feedback as much as possible. And certainly share that feedback as much as they are able to. Again, on the communication across departments and cooperation and collaboration, we're going to consider maybe a brief follow-up survey this year, not to the extent that, Engaging Rec started to do it, maybe a Survey Monkey or something that Aaron can put together, just so we can maybe take the pulse of employees on those issues as it relates to those issues, maybe later in the year and kind of see where we're at, try to get a snapshot at that point. Yes.
I think what you were trying to get to this point was we're trying to dive deeper on this question because we don't really understand what we can do to strengthen that communication because we do a lot of different methods. So we're trying to drill down. So you're saying use the same survey company? Yeah, we could do that. Understood.
Michael, along those lines, maybe if you're going to do this again, to do a pulse, do it in like 6 months at a different season, at a different time, when there's different pressures on the departments. And I'd be interested to see if there's any differences. And I think as we've spoke before, I actually think this study would be really interesting to see broken up into the different groups. If you think of the park district, this survey might look a little differently for those that are running, for example, beach operations, than say someone who's running maintenance or, involved with, the children's circle.
I think you have that
I-
in the survey, right?
And keep in mind, the part-time staff are just year-round part-time. They're not seasonal. The survey does not include any seasonal staff that would take
Right.
aquatics and
Yeah.
ice rink out of there. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Break it down to further. Erin, you want
Yeah.
We also do a survey of seasonal staff.
to? We absolutely do. But this one, I'm just saying, this one does not. And we could break it down to show, but some of the areas are so small that
Right.
we don't want them
To
to,
feel.
yeah,
I gotcha.
they won't give the
there
true
was a-
information if we'll figure
Yeah.
it out who they are. So.
There was a question, I believe, that asked what area they were in. Some chose not to state it.
Right.
But were we able to follow in this survey what people from that group, what
No,
the percentage
No.
was? Okay,
Yeah.
then yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
we're not, yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
It looked like people were generally very happy with their relationship with their supervisors and their managers.
Mhm.
So that other question seemed to be really just, the people that are around their level. I would be interested in the further survey to find out, are they feeling competitive? Is it a communication thing? Like what exactly is the driver? What, is it like a competitive type situation or is it, just communication?
Right.
And miscommunications, I don't know.
I think the survey, this follow-up survey you're talking about should be done the same season because the problems are happening during this season. And so when the problems might go away in 6 months, because then you're in, I know, I'm in the same business, as you guys don't know, similar
Yeah.
business. Summertime's craziness.
Yep.
And there's stuff going on.
Right.
And in December,
Yeah.
it's January, it's cold and you're indoors, you're all in the same place. And everybody's in this, you're not have as many people participating, and you're also not, it's just less communications needed when you're all over the place, all over the entire town. That's where my experience has been when left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. My boss knows what I'm doing. I know what the boss wants for me to do, but the other boss doesn't know, what they're doing. That's what usually, clearly 80% nearly, you're not far off.
No.
But,
No,
but
no.
that's usually what usually it's competitiveness for space or a room. I didn't know I wanted to have this room, but I didn't know that this other group had this room, and like things like that,
And that's
that
what
I
I-
used to deal with.
I agree with you. Like you want to be consistent. And this is what made me start to think if you were to look at it from different groups, right? So like Children's Circle is their prime time is not the summer versus
Yeah.
I disagree with you.
you think it is the summer?
It's all year round. We only take 2 weeks
Mm.
off a year. So that Children's Circle is absolutely prime time this summer. Yeah, it's throughout the year.
June is probably the most challenging because they
Yeah.
change classrooms, and
Absolutely.
that creates quite a lot of stress.
So, okay.
Yeah, June's a very busy month for them.
Apologies, I
Yeah.
stand corrected.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
But I think what we're trying to focus in by doing the follow-up survey is just a communication, just doing follow, because a lot of times we get these surveys and I want more communication, but there's no solution there. And so we're trying to figure out what the solution would be to help with more, what do you think would be? Because everybody has different ways they want to be communicated to. Is it because, parks, there's not a lot of ability to do social interaction with people? Is that what communication means to them? So we're trying to dig a little bit deeper just to get a little more follow up on that we're not getting from a survey. Do you think surveys? So that's what we talk about, follow up on that. So
Was there anything in like the pretext comments that's?
No, that's a great question.
good question.
Because there have been
Nothing.
things in years past that have surprised us. But yeah, a lot of like 2-word, like
Yeah.
to Lisa's point, just not very clear direction on what they're trying to, like a lot of 2-word like type comments, like
Yeah.
more meetings or whatever it might be. And it's just hard to decipher exactly what they're getting at, which is again, kind of creating the need for this follow-up survey, I think.
and there was never any communication that was more than one. Like if they made a suggestion, it was only one person.
Yeah.
So those really aren't valid. So if we saw something that was repeated many times by people, then we're like, oh, okay, we'll take note of that. So just need a little bit more information. But overall, I have to say the survey is outstanding. You don't see these kind of numbers, this kind of participation. So sometimes we always get hung up on that 80%, which is really outstanding compared to our peers, and kind of forget all those good things. So we hold ourselves to a standard that's higher. So we just want to figure out what we can do better, on that front. So.
And it's 67 people answering it. It's not that hard to get to 85%. Like, it's like probably 3 people.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
right.
not-
Exactly what I want to say. Exactly right. 3 people could say, I'm not communicated to. So we also look very carefully at that. Are we changing all our practices for 3 people, but it really works for
Yeah.
the rest of those 62 people? Exactly. So you got it. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Don.
Thank you very much. All right. Next topic on our agenda is the OSLED grant resolution number 988 for Friends Park. Kyle will provide an overview of the Friends Park grant resolution.
Yep, thank you very much. So tonight before the board under action items is the OSLED resolution. What that effectively is the board's authorization for the district to apply for the OSLED grant. Just to recap, the OSLED is the Open Space Land Acquisition and Development Grant Program. So it allows for funding for either land acquisition or development of existing parkland for park recreation amenities and improvements. It is a matching grant up to $600,000. With our application, there's some compliance and requirements that I wanted to just kind of highlight tonight. So we have to build the project. If we're awarded grant, you have to build the project that you apply for. So we can't apply for a playground and then build a baseball field. ADA compliance, any projects do have to meet ADA compliance requirements. There's procurement laws that have to be followed for public bidding, as well as prevailing wage laws. Financial compliance, so we're doing a matching grant. We are saying that we will match that grant. We have a responsibility to match that amount, which again is up to $600,000. That can be through hard construction costs or a certain percentage of A&E fees, architect and engineering fees. Reports, we have to file quarterly reports for financials and performance, so progress through the project. Billing requirements, so we can only get reimbursed for costs that are incurred, and we have to have supporting documentation for those costs, pay stubs, check stubs and invoices. Long-term compliance, so any OSLAD project, you have to remain an open park to the public. We can't restrict access to the park that was given a OSLAD grant, awarded an OSLAD grant. And there's also restrictions around applying fees to a park that had an OSLAD grant. That won't be an issue with this particular project if we're awarded, because it's just a playground park renovation. And then consequences for non-compliance is a loss or reduction of the reimbursement during this grant cycle if you don't comply with the requirements. And if you fail to meet those requirements, you would potentially be ineligible, or it would be held against you for future grant applications. For context, the district has been awarded 4 OSLAD grants previously and successfully completed 3 of them, and we're in the process of our 4th with West Park. We've also had a major park grant, which has very similar grant requirements. It was completed successfully, and several other smaller grants through IDNR. So just wanted to kind of cover high level kind of what the grant program is, what our requirements are by applying. And again, timeline is applications due end of August. And then if we're awarded, we'd be hoping to hear in December, January, which lines up nicely with budget season. Any questions on that? No?
Thank you very much, Kyle.
Yep.
Next agenda item is the executive director report. The report is available in the board packet, and Lisa will share a summary of the report and answer any questions.
Excellent. First of all, I can't believe it's July 21st and we're halfway through the summer. I think we have 3 weeks of camp left, which we'll talk about in a second. So it's flying by. Summer goes so fast for us. All this planning goes into it. In your board packet is our 2026 annual recreation program enrollment form. That is a requirement of our accreditation to share that with you every year. Just like to note that we have over 700 unique programs. That is outstanding for a district of our size to provide that many different opportunities for the community. So kudos to Bobby, Adam, Molly, and the whole recreation team for providing those opportunities for Glencoe residents and our guests that come in from outside of Glencoe also. We just held our Independence Day celebration on July 3rd and 4th. Again, kudos to our team. I think I have new gray hair from that night because I've never watched a radar so tight in my life, but we were the only ones that night that were able to get our fireworks off and shoot those off early because of the cloud cover. People are like, we should do them early every year. I want to make a note that it's because it was so cloudy that we were able to shoot them off at 8:15 and actually see them. But it was perfect timing because we were watching it so close that we're like, okay, it's a 22-minute show and this radar, the storm's coming in 30 minutes. Okay, that gives us time people get out of the park, and we were able to do it and have the music entertainment. So we kind of rolled the dice on that one. And had a great celebration. So that is great. Just for board members to know is once we make a decision at 8 a.m. to start setting up the fireworks, there's no going back for us. Once they load them into once they load them in the chamber, we cannot take them out because of where we have them. If they get wet, anything, they become very volatile. So once they're set up, we have to go. So we were shooting them off either at midnight or 6 a.m., which we completely talked about that. Should we do a dusk fireworks this year? Yeah, we probably scare everybody in town. So we backed off on that one really, really fast. But we were thinking of everything outside the box. Well, we do have to go with them. So we would have to shoot them off sometime the night after the thing. So we went with it for the application, the way we load them. It's a whole computer system. And so it may be different than what Winnetka does or Deerfield, but we had to do that. Kind of similar to what Winnetka the next night and Glenview, they did go ahead with their fireworks, even though it was totally cloudy. Because they had to. They had to fire them off. They had really no choice once they got to that point of it. So, so kudos. And then the next day, thank you for those who marched in the parade. And then the change up in our family fun games on on the 4th was very, very well noted in our bags competition. So thank you for the whole team for taking away their holiday to come provide this opportunity for Glencoe. So the only thing we had to postpone to the next day was a watermelon eating contest. That was the only thing. So, and we were down there, just lightning happened. So, take of closure. So just a reminder, we do annual maintenance on this building and Weinberg the week of August 10th through the 14th. So we kind of closed down operations. A lot of staff work from home. We're still answering phones. We're still available. We just get out of maintenance's way so that we're not in their way, so they can clean floors and paint walls and not have a whole bunch of people in the building. The beach is still open. We still have a camp going on at Weinberg. So we're not totally vacated, but it's a little quieter for vacations and stuff. So we find that's a good month to do it. So you'll see a lot of those different projects as we wind down, and they're all listed on there. We are busy on our capital projects. I'm going to turn this over to Kyle, but we're going to talk about West Park and the Take-Up Center and Ball Field.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. So if we're getting really close here to wrapping this project up. The exterior work, you've probably seen the property line fence as well as the plantings and landscaping going in. So we're hoping by this time next week that we'll be largely done with all exterior work here at Take-If for the maintenance and ball field project. Inside the building, we're on to kind of finishes and trim work and things of that nature. We do have to seal the concrete before we can move in, and there's a timing and logistics element to that, but we're getting close, hoping within the next couple of weeks that we're officially moving in the building and out of these temporary spots. West Park, we're cruising along with construction. Our main goal right now is to make sure we're wrapping up the work on school property before school starts back up. But asphalt is scheduled for next week for the tennis courts and the parking areas, and the ball field fencing is going up today, and the artificial turf is scheduled for middle of August. So those are kind of like the major moving parts for the West project.
I have a quick question about the West project. I drove by the other day. And we're not involved with any, there's a big fence around the front lawn of West as well. Is that the school just doing its own thing?
On the, what would be the
The
southeast
forest
corner?
the Forest Way.
Yeah, in the southeast corner there of Forest Way and Cherry.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the school and Park District's combined MWRD required portion of the project. So
Okay.
remember back to West Park conversations, all the work that's taken place at West is requiring some detention improvements. So it's making the existing detention area slightly bigger on
Okay.
school property. And that was a cost shared element of the project.
Okay, thanks.
We are scheduling the ribbon cutting for September 4th at, I believe, 10 a.m. I sent you all a calendar invite, so hope you all can make it that day. We figured during the day was best time, so we could have the park team participating in that. So please mark your calendars for that. I just want to give a update on the Ravine Bluffs Cottage. As you know, the Ravine Bluffs Cottage is on Park District property. They have a long-term lease through the Park District to have that house on that property, but they're responsible for all renovations to that building. They met all their obligations in our contract for the outside already. Quite a bit ago, they've been raising funds for the inside. So they've been doing construction on the inside, and they look like they'll probably finish that up at the end of this month. And then they're going to start working on their exhibits for the right exhibits inside the building. So they don't think they'll have that done actually till next June. So they're looking to start opening up to the community June 8th in 2027. In their lease contract, they have very strict terms of when they can open that building and how many special events they can have, so it doesn't become burdensome on the neighbors. So they are also looking at applying for landmark status. I'm just making sure to check with them. If they do apply that applies only to the house and not the property, because while there is a long-term lease, it's not in perpetuity. So 99 years from now, the board changes their mind, doesn't want on it. I don't see why that would happen, but just let you know that that's happening. So they've been great partners in working with it. The Friends of the Green Bay Trail, I believe, have done a planting in front of the cottage. So their other volunteer groups are now moving in there and doing the plant. They did that last fall, right?
Yeah,
Or-
it was in conjunction with us. I think it was
Yeah,
last
the
fall.
part- And
Yeah.
our team helped also, and then they went back for a cleanup this year. So I'm sure they'll continue working on that as a partnership on that since, so that's kind of fun. I know your dad was there.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was great. I loved it. It looks really pretty. So any questions on that? Okay. The lakefront, as we talked about before, the lakefront parking task force applications went out to the community. The deadline to submit application is July 24th at 5 PM. We do have the committee chairs of that will be a village trustee and a Park District board member. Commissioner Hazen has volunteered to chair that committee, so thank you for that. And the dates listed, obviously that just like any of our advisory committees or board meetings or committee meetings, those are open to the public, but it will run in the same format as a board meeting. So if people can come talk as matter of the public, but only the committee members can talk during the meeting, similar to this format. So what will happen next is once the 9 people are chosen, because we want to keep it a manageable group, then it will come back for approval by both boards in August so that we can get started in September. So,
I have a quick question.
yeah.
How does it work as far as selecting? I know that both boards are going to, review the applications. Is that right? And then-
Actually, the
yeah.
committee chair,
Yeah.
the president of both boards and both directors will review the applications,
Okay.
and then make recommendations to the board. So try to narrow it down.
Okay.
What we're looking for is diverse a candidate pool. So not from one side of town, but throughout the whole town.
Yeah. I know
different
that. Do
involvement.
we, just the process?
Yep.
Do we have a special meeting with the village board?
Nope,
and the
we're
2
good.
boards?
Our plan
Okay.
is to have each board
Okay.
approve it individually. And if
Okay.
we need to have a joint meeting, we absolutely would.
Okay.
Just really hard to do those, but.
Yeah.
So you'll
Okay.
see the list beforehand, before,
The applications that people are submitting, are there questions and everything else and asking them?
yep. So if
How do
you,
we decipher? I don't know. It's like when they apply for any board? I mean,
it's like what we applied for our different task force, and the application is in your board packet. You can take a look at it.
okay.
But yes, we have different questions like, are you a nearby resident, beach user, park user, senior resident? Do you have, why you're interested in serving in task force? What parking concerns you may have or safety concerns? What perspective or experience you bring to this task force? Things like that are in here to trying to narrow out what part of town you live in so that we can make sure that we have a diverse group. Any other questions? Excellent. The fall program guide has been delivered to residents, and we have due resident registration this Thursday. It's one of our biggest registrations. Do you, Erin or Bobby, have anything to bring up on that one?
Just excited for it. It's an interesting transition from summer to fall very quickly, and Cal is joining us as a new recreation manager. So on our athletics side, he's moving from Western Illinois. So we're excited to have him join the team. But our team does a great job of transitioning summer to fall. There's not much of a downtime, but we're very excited about it.
Yeah, it goes really fast. The beach season's been going great, and camp. This is Emily's first season as a manager here, and she's doing a phenomenal job, and camp is going very. So,
Yeah.
and I have to brag on the team, both the aquatic and the camp team with the I guess smoke that came in, the way they were able to pivot and make sure that those campers and the aquatic camp still had a great experience in camp that day was amazing. Adam is in
Yep.
here too. Just turned around, got buses here, got them to indoor locations both here and field trips, and it was just very impressive. So
And they even, with some of the challenges on that day with the bus company, they actually called NSSRA and borrowed passenger vans from NSSRA and had our staff drive the campers in the NSSRA buses all the way to Evanston. So all managers were on hand to do that. So they did a great job pivoting to that, which for those kids, rather than spending 2 days at the take-off center, they got out and about when a lot of other camps in other districts did not. So really proud of the team. Their ability to pivot is like no one else I've seen. So great job to them.
So this year they've had extreme heat,
Hmm.
smoke, and let's see what else, maybe snow.
Don't jinx this. 2.5 weeks left of regular camp.
Never know. So kudos to that team, and they're just doing a great job, and everybody's having an excellent time. We also one of my favorite events was the beach camp out last weekend. That's a Glencoe tradition and a favorite to many of our families. And we were able still to have that. The smoke came down to good levels, and we were able to still have our camp out, and the families had a great time. So
Yep.
Good
Just
weather.
Almost 300 people had signed up for that. So, and the weather cleared out and it was a perfect evening in Glencoe. Everyone had a great safe time and everyone was still enjoying the tradition.
our Our special events have been very well attended, and I believe we have the camp, what's the end of the year camp? We have Camp Family Night on the 29th that we hold this. It's a relatively new event that the families just love. So any questions?
Quick question. for-
Yeah, please.
For Bobby. For the fall programming, compared to last year, are we doing anything different as we've seen an increase in demand?
We have some new offerings. I will tell you on John's projections, enrichment programs, there will be the one area that's either it's flatlining in terms, or I shouldn't say flatlining, it's steady in terms of enrollment, if not down a little bit this spring. So a lot of it's got to do with the size of the incoming kindergarten, first grade and second grade, because those are the majority of our enrollment. So last year, kindergarten was, I think, the smallest grade they had in a long time. They're expecting a large kindergarten group, so we're cautiously optimistic. We do see that demand for our extended day options. So the kids club, which is kind of counter to what we see. We have another group that kind of tends to do the enrichments, as Danny was talking about. So we're seeing more double working parents, more demand for those extended day options, those 1 days, where the traditional enrichments might be it's just steady at this point. So it we'll know pretty quickly.
Okay.
I think we normally do $400,000 or $500,000 in the first hour of registration on those days. So it's obviously a good indication of demand, but really the correlation has got to do with the grade size.
And as our kids club has gone up, they're active and they're doing a lot of enrichment within that kids club. So you'll see our one-offs
Yeah.
go down.
Yeah.
So you definitely see that correlation.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because they're getting that enrichment through that program.
Commissioner, do you have a question?
It's really quick. You said the incoming kindergarten class looks larger. Is it like a significantly because the other one was right around 100, right?
Yeah, 99 or 100, exactly. You're right. I believe,
Class size bigger?
I haven't seen the numbers in the last couple of weeks, but they had already reached the 99 back in the spring. So they were thinking it was more going to be that like 100, north of 120. I don't know, Adam, if you'd
Okay.
seen.
Oh, okay. That's like more of our norm.
So it's a
size.
30% jump on last year, which is significant.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Wow.
Joaquin's was like 100.
Oh, no. Oh, 100.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right now they all hover around.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question.
Any other questions?
Right, now we're ready for action items.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Lisa, for the report. So on our next agenda are the action items and the approval. So at this time, I entertain a motion to approve the annual treasurer's report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kobe? Commissioner Reifin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. The next item is I entertain a motion for the acceptance of the 2026 audit report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kobe?
It's the audit report. I entertain a motion here. Let me speak a little bit clearer. Entertain a motion for the acceptance of the 2026 audit report as presented. It was so moved by Gary, second by Megan. So we're asking for the roll call.
I can, Michael, it's acceptance of the audit report. Commissioner Reifin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Next item, I entertain a motion to approve the resolution number 988 for the OSLAD grant for Friends Park.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussions? Great, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kobe? Commissioner Reifin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Yes.
Great, motion passes. Next one, I entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the 5 shelters for the beach project in the amount of $394,285.05 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cummins,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Reitman,
Yes.
Commissioner Kobe. Should I shake it up there a little bit?
I noticed that. All right, great. Motion passes. Thank you very much, everybody. Next one is other business. I believe there's no other business.
I do not have any other business.
Okay, great. And next is executive session, which I do not think that there's any reason to go into.
We do not have any reason to go into executive session.
Great, then I recommend a motion to adjourn. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
At
moved.
8:24.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
All right, thank you all.
Thank